Hi guys, how many times has this happened to you that you open a coding agent, let's say Claude or anti-gravity, and you give it a task, let's say you want to build an authentication system, and then it just starts writing code directly. There is no planning, there are no tests, and at the end of it, let's say after 10-20 minutes, you get thousands of lines of codes, and some of the edge cases are working, some are not working. Let's be honest, does this sound familiar to you? This video is going to change how you use your coding agent forever. I'm going to show you one plugin that will transform the coding agent from just a white coder into somebody who's a senior developer. And to be honest, I'm not exaggerating. This is the only plugin you will ever need. It's called Superpowers. So as you can see, it has more than 80,000 stars on GitHub, and it got officially accepted into Claude's plugins marketplace in Jan this year. It's created by Jesse Vincent. By installing this in your coding agent, you're not going to just write code anymore. It will brainstorm with you, help you create detailed plans, and it will also review each other's work. And once it's done, it will clean everything up automatically. So let's dive straight into it. Let's start with the basics. So, what is Superpowers? Superpowers is a skills framework. What I mean by that is it's a collection of skills which are like mandatory workflows that your coding agent is forced to follow at every stage of development. The thing to note here is these workflows are mandatory. These are not suggestions. These are not system prompts that your coding agent can ignore. When Superpowers is installed, your coding agent literally cannot skip these steps. It checks for relevant skills before doing every task. Now let's go through the workflow and you will recognize a pattern that it's very close to how a senior developer would perform these tasks. So there are basically 7 phases in it. The first phase is the brainstorming phase. So before writing any code, your coding agent will ask you questions and then it will explore alternatives. And at the end, it will produce a design document for you to review. The phase two is Git work trees. So once the design document has been approved, what happens is these isolated workspaces are created on a new branch and the main branch stays clean. The phase three is writing plans. So in this phase, the project is being broken down into small tasks, and each task will have its own verification steps and code snippets. The fourth phase is the sub-agent driven development, and this is where the magic is going to happen. So instead of having one long session, what happens is sub-agents are being spun up, and each of these sub-agents handle one task each. So let's say one writes the code, the other will review them against the spec, and the third will check the code quality. So it's like a self-managing engineering team that you have. The fifth phase is the test-driven development. That is like a very popular framework that we have in engineering. So what happens here is you will write a test, and then after writing the test, you will do the development on top of it. Next phase is code review. So in between tasks, a reviewer agent will evaluate your work against the plan, and then it will do the code review. If there are any critical issues, it will let you know, and it won't proceed unless all these critical issues are resolved. The seventh and the final phase is finishing up. So this will run the whole test suite, and then it will offer you options whether you want to merge or create a PR or just discard it, and it will clean up all the work trees. So all the cleanup is being done in this final phase. So these are the 7 phases, and you know the best part, you don't have to remember or memorize any of these. Once you have the plugin installed, all these skills will activate automatically whenever required. Having understood what is superpowers and how does it work, now let's get to the installation part. The installation instructions are mentioned on GitHub. As you can see, the installation is going to differ based on the platform that you're going to use. So for Claude Code and Cursor, we have built-in plugin marketplaces. But for Codex and Open Code, it will require some manual setup. So do check it out depending on the platform that you're interested in. For the demo, I will be installing it on Claude Code. So we will simply copy this command and run it into a terminal. We will simply paste that command that we copied. And here, if you see, it's asking me if I want to install for my user or for all collaborators. So I will do it at the user scope. So now the plugin has been installed. This is how easy it is to install this plugin. Now let's take a live example to show you how does it work. For the demo example, let's try to build something. Let's say, let's build a URL shortener from scratch. As you can see, it has successfully loaded the Superpowers plugin. And from there, it's using the first phase that we talked about, which is brainstorming. See, it's saying we are using the brainstorming skill. So we'll see all of the 7 phases that we have talked about kicking in. And for that, I didn't have to tell it anything. I didn't specify it even to use the Superpowers plugin. It just does on its own. It's up to you. You can give it any complex idea that you have and see how systematically it enables you to build that idea. Here, I'm just summarizing the difference between using and not using the Superpowers plugin. So if you are not using a plugin, then what happens is the coding agent jumps straight into the codes. There are no tests returned. It does everything on the main branch, and then there's no code review happening. But with Superpowers, the brainstorming is done before building. It has a systematic debugging phases. It does everything into the Git work trees, which are like isolated environment, and the code reviews are being performed automatically. So it's like from having to constantly babysit, we are going into a mode of hours of autonomous work just by using the Superpowers plugin. Few of the interesting things to know about Superpowers is it is actually token efficient. So for the bootstrap, it will require around 2000 tokens. And this is something that has been written in blog by the creator of Superpowers. Jesse, you can read more about it. The second important thing is Yagni is enforced. What I mean by that is you are not gonna need it. Basically, it's creating the simplest thing that works. It's not doing any over engineering, which is what we want. Otherwise, the AI slop that we have seen gets pretty overcomplicated and even complex to understand. It works cross platform. So it doesn't matter if you're using Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, Open Code, anything, it will just work perfectly fine for you. So basically, the whole philosophy behind this plugin is it will brainstorm even before building. It will plan before coding. As we know, we want to ship after testing, so it will test and then ship. And before merging anything, it will review. So this is what the philosophy is. And if you see there's a pattern, that's what most of the great software developers do. And that's the basic philosophy with which the Superpowers plugin work. I hope this was useful. Do check it out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.